Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name's EJ Marino and this is About Last Night. This is the show where I talk about the movie I saw last night. We are not going to be talking about a movie this time. I'm going to be talking about episode 1 of Castle Rock. So, if you don't know, Castle Rock is a new show on Hulu. It's an original series based on the Stephen King universe. Yes, I said Stephen King universe because like the Universal Horror Monsters or Godzilla or James Bond or I guess the Marvel universe, there is a new cinematic universe and it's Stephen King's. So if you don't know, most of his work, if not all, I'm not the big Stephen King like history buff, but most of his work kind of lives in the same universe. Most of them are set in Maine, like Castle Rock is set in Maine, or if you go watch it or read the book It is set in a fictional town called Derry, Maine. So there's the first connection. So yeah, this is kind of what he's establishing is, here is my weird world where like Carrie, The Shining, Salem's Lot, The Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption, it is all in the same world, in the same universe. I think that is super intriguing and sets up a very great mysterious show because after episode 1 I craved more. I needed to know everything about Castle Rock. Though that comes into an issue I have. Do I do research and look for all these Easter eggs and all these references now and potentially spoil myself? Or do I let the show explain all of this for me? Because truly, this is like a Stephen King AP exam. It's just like, did you do your homework? Did you like sit through class 1, 2, and 3? Because if you didn't, you're gonna be lost in the show. And I'm not too lost. I'm getting the basic premise of the show. It is not too crazy yet. It is set at Shawshank, which is the prison in the Shawshank Redemption. It is something Stephen King has created. I love that. I think that's really intriguing. I like where it's set at. I like the characters we're introducing. But there's a lot of times where they'll show like, there was a kid with like a little toy. Or they'll show someone's name on a shirt. And then they're focusing on it so hard that I know it has to be a Stephen King reference that it's a little frustrating at times, but it's the type that I'm intrigued by and I'm more curious of how deep this is going to go in the King universe. Like this first episode was super strong. I use this to describe sharp objects on HBO. Like with Castle Rock, they put all of the pieces of the puzzle on the table. You're gonna be building this puzzle, but they haven't put any pieces together. They're just like, here's all the pieces, have fun. And that's what this first episode of Castle Rock did for me. It showed me what's happening. It showed me this universe, but it didn't start connecting all of the stuff. It presented a bunch of questions, but has not answered any of them yet. And I'm fine with that. That intrigues me. That makes this a fun mystery. And I'm really excited to keep diving into the world of Castle Rock because it's intriguing for that reason. I think a lot of people complain of like, this is too open-ended or this is weird. It's not giving me the answers that I crave. So what? They eventually either will or the questions weren't that serious and you don't need to like think that hard about it. Is this as surreal and weird as like a Twin Peaks? No, but this is like a step above, step below Twin Peaks, but above like a Riverdale. Like, this is somewhere in this weird middle ground of mystery horror TV that I'm actually really like excited to have. More horror on TV is great. I love Horror Story. I love shows like The Exorcist that was on. But I need something like Castle Rock. I need the Stephen King like brand of horror weekly. So what do I like about this show? First things first, this cast is so strong. Noel Fisher, Bill Skarsgård, Sissy Spacek, Terry O'Quinn, André Holland. Like, there is cast members that I am a big, big fan of, and they carry this weird material. But for how long can like the audience deal with like amazing acting, but with a lot of weirdness going on? I don't know. I'm down for it, but I do worry that this isn't gonna connect with everybody because it is well acted and really weird. Two things that kind of scare some people off. Something else that could scare people off is the fact that, like I said, you need to like brush up on your Stephen King homework. Right after this first episode, I was like, yo, do I need to rewatch The Shawshank Redemption? Because I remember none of it, and like, they're referencing it hard. So that's kind of what this is doing, is like, it's making you be like, do you remember that one Stephen King reference from that one time back in like the mid-90s? I hope you do, because we're going to reference it now. So that is going to push some people away, but for me, it's making me want to dive more in. Like I said, Do I want to do research and spoil things for me? I don't know. Google is there. Google is our friend. But do I use Google to spoil Castle Rock for me because I need to know what this Easter egg is? I don't know. Maybe episode 2, once I get to there, they'll explain more questions. And I'm really excited to dive into episode 2, where I can kind of like go fully into this episode and not like recap what this show's about, but dive into the episodes themselves, because that's going to be really hard and really intriguing for the show. So let me explain kind of the basis of the first episode. We're set in Shawshank. This is a prison. It is a kind of a dirty, grungy, older prison. If you know it from the Shawshank Redemption, it was old and grungy there. Now in the future, it's older and grungier. So essentially, there is a man that is found deep down within Shawshank. Like, they basically put him in a box, put that box in a hole, and then threw away the hole. Like, I don't know how long he's been there, what's been happening, but he's found, played by Bill Skarsgård. He is found by Noel Fisher, who, if anyone remembers him from Shameless, he was Mickey Milkovich. Love him as an actor. So Noel Fisher's character finds Bill Skarsgård's nameless character in this middle of this like weird cage in this hole. It's really kind of creepy and sad. So he only says one name, Henry Dever. I am, or I need Henry Dever. We really don't know. He just says the name. Found out Henry Dever is a lawyer who is a death row lawyer. It's hard stuff. Like, he keeps losing like his clients because he's either not that good of a lawyer or their cases are too strong. So he goes to Shawshank to figure out what's happening. That's kind of all that happens in the first episode. Henry's character was previously missing. Weird circumstances around his missing and his return. Really curious of what goes on there. Like I said, do not spoil it. I know I'm a couple episodes behind, but I like what they did setting up his mystery because it's so Stephen King. You kind of get this like, you think you know who are good and bad people, and that's something Stephen King does. He presents you what you think is good and what you think is bad, and he's gonna be mixing them or doing something interesting. Really intrigued with all the characters set up in this, like Henry, like the nameless man, like Noel Fisher's like security guard, like corrections officer, who I think's super nice, and I think he's not gonna make it out of the season. He's too nice. So that is it for this episode of About Last Night. Thank you so much for joining in while I review Castle Rock episode 1. I'm really excited to kind of keep diving into all of this mystery. I will be reviewing episode 2 and 3, so keep up to date with that so then I can catch up. I think this week, this Wednesday, is episode 4. I'm going to catch up for that, so we could be doing these live together and none of you guys can spoil things for me. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you give me a comment. Let me know if you enjoyed this review. If you're watching Castle Rock, you should be. If you're a fan of Stephen King or horror movies, this is the show for you. Definitely check this out. So comment down below if you're watching. Please give me a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe. Now that I've done all the typical YouTube stuff, thank you so much for tuning in, and I cannot wait for more Castle Rock.